A team of explorers had been pursuing something through thick forest for some time before they finally closed the distance. Once they caught up, they made the call to try and take it into their hands. That decision proved far more difficult to follow through on than any of them had bargained for. You can see the group straining to keep the creature pinned, and even with several people working together, it was putting up a resistance none of them were ready for. What they had managed to get hold of had wings resembling those of a bat, but everything else about it defied any category you'd find in a wildlife guide. Its form, its structure, the way it moved, all of it felt completely otherworldly. In the end, they couldn't keep their grip on it. A worried homeowner decided to post this footage online, and it doesn't take long to understand why. Something bizarre is crawling and squirming across the steps of the staircase, though pinning down exactly what it is proves surprisingly difficult. The person filming clearly didn't feel comfortable getting any closer, and honestly, who could blame them? Now, opinions within the community and among my own team are all over the place. Some people are convinced it's a lobster or another type of shellfish, while others are leaning toward a baby salamander or some kind of lizard. There's also a camp that believes it could be a parasitic worm, or perhaps some sort of mutated insect. Every theory has something going for it, and none can be easily dismissed. I went back and forth trying to figure this one out myself, but I came up empty. Julius wasn't willing to weigh in either, which leaves me even more puzzled. So I'm throwing it over to you. Do you have any idea what this thing actually is, and is it even genuine? Drop your thoughts down in the comments and let us know. A group of men venture into the woods after dark in this next clip. Having heard disturbing reports of strange sounds coming from the area, they move through the trees with extreme caution. Then, in an instant, their worst fears come to life when they encounter this. The Chupacabra is a creature of legend, infamous for allegedly preying on livestock, goats in particular. Eyewitness descriptions range from something reptilian to something resembling a feral dog. Reports of sightings have surfaced throughout the Americas, though skeptics argue most cases are either misidentified wildlife or outright fabrications, with little hard proof to back them up. But that explanation simply doesn't hold up when you see what this footage captured. What started as wary curiosity spiraled rapidly into sheer terror, suggesting that certain legends aren't just stories, they're warnings about something real, lurking out there and waiting to be found. During a late-night smoke break on a hilltop near their campsite, a group of colleagues decided to snap some pictures of the full moon. When they went through those photos the following day, what they found stopped them cold. A massive humanoid shape had shown up across multiple devices. The figure was far too large to be human and had an unmistakably unnatural quality that left the whole group deeply unsettled. What makes this even stranger is that it wasn't their first run-in with something off in that area. About a year earlier, the same group had been rattled by blood-curdling screams in the night and spotted a tall, white figure disappearing behind that very hill. And they're not alone. Other people have reported hearing those same screams coming from that location over the years, raising serious questions about whether something rooted in local legend is responsible, or whether this is something far beyond explanation. So, what exactly did their cameras pick up out there that night? Sea cucumbers rarely steal the spotlight, but this one absolutely demanded attention. A woman came across a bizarre spiky animal beneath the water's surface and couldn't resist posting it for the world to see. This wasn't your average sea cucumber either. It was a pineapple sea cucumber. Plump, textured, and bristling with little pointed projections, the thing genuinely resembled a tropical fruit that had somehow ended up on the ocean floor. But underneath that rugged exterior, this creature is actually pulling serious weight. Animals like this keep the seafloor healthy by consuming decomposing matter and cycling nutrients back into the ecosystem. Yeah, it's a little gross when you think about it, but honestly, that's nature running its own sanitation department in the most unexpected way imaginable. Robert Dodson, a self-described Bigfoot tracker, was someone who drew both admiration and doubt from the cryptozoology world in equal measure. Rather than sticking to conventional search techniques, he developed his own strategy, using carefully constructed bait traps to coax the elusive Sasquatch out into the open. That's exactly the approach he was using on September 14th, 2014.
Well, that traffic's really loud today. Some reason, some days it's real loud out here and sometimes it ain't. I think it just depends on which way the wind and all is blowing. Sealed or not, but I see some eyes shine over there somewhere. Trying to get between them trees ain't easy. Yeah, I can see it. Hard to see, that's for sure.
Robert had placed a combination of fruit and meat at his research site in Oklahoma, and whatever showed up wasn't what most people would expect. He spotted a set of glowing eyes lurking near the bait, and after a prolonged back and forth game of cat and mouse, the creature suddenly lunged toward him.
Damn, I wish I'd put the battery in that damn thing, shit. Don't do this at home. Whatever you do. There went another rock. Did I piss it off or what? Damn. I think I got eye shine over there again. Barely see it over there. I don't know. Might be ready to kick my ass. I might. It's only 11 o'clock. I might have to get on out of here. I don't trust it.
Concerned that things could escalate further, Robert chose to retreat, though he came back afterward to measure the highest point where the creature's eyes had been. Some skeptics later argued the eyes could have belonged to a bear, but Robert put their height at roughly 8 feet off the ground, which makes that explanation hard to swallow. Whatever he came face to face with out there that night, it still hasn't been identified. Picture this. It's the dead of night, complete silence, and you're standing alone in an open field right at the tree line. There's no obvious way forward, and a creeping sense of dread just won't leave you alone. Then a flashlight beam cuts through the darkness and lands on something. Today, we're breaking down one of the most debated and unsettling clips circulating online. Something many people insist is genuine footage of the legendary Dogman. Keep your eyes on the grass, because what appears just moments in will have you double checking every lock in your house. Is this the real deal or an elaborate hoax? That's for you to decide. The footage reveals a bizarre creature crouched low and concealed within the tall grass. Get a good look at that face. It's not a wolf. It's not a bear. It resembles something straight out of a werewolf horror film. Notice that stare. It sends a cold shiver right through you. So what exactly are we looking at here? Something from beyond our world, or an incredibly convincing setup by someone with too much time on their hands? Drop your... Back in 2021, a Costa Rican man was alarmed by a disturbance outside his home. His dogs were going absolutely wild, as if something had wandered onto the property. But the moment he pulled up his security camera footage, curiosity gave way to sheer terror. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't human, and it sure didn't resemble any animal anyone could identify. It moved across the ground on all fours in a way that was almost spider-like, and what made it even more unsettling was its sheer size. This creature was actually larger than the dogs surrounding it. Well, you knew it was coming. No compilation like this would be complete without a Bigfoot sighting thrown in the mix. This clip was uploaded by Ericus Maximus on YouTube, who was out on the ATVs with his kid over in Gum Hill, West Virginia, when something massive and covered in hair crossed the river right in front of them. Get a load of what their camera picked up. Whatever that thing was, its movement definitely didn't match anything like a bear. According to the video description, this all went down at roughly 6:30 in the evening. And here's the kicker. It wasn't even his first encounter with the creature. It was just the first time he'd ever managed to get it on camera. A group of kayakers were making their way down a river when something on a nearby log caught their eye. A snake, just sitting there. At first, it seemed like nothing out of the ordinary, but the closer they got, the more that changed. This thing was enormous, dwarfing anything you'd expect to come across in the wild. Its thick, heavy body was draped across the log in a way that almost looked like it couldn't be real. The kayakers didn't need to think twice about keeping their distance. They eased their paddles through the water as quietly as possible, doing everything they could to avoid catching its attention. Nobody wanted to find out what it might do if it suddenly decided to come their way. As they floated further from it, one question lingered in all their minds. Just how large can these creatures actually get? Deep in the Appalachian wilderness, there's an atmosphere that never quite lets you relax. Thick tree cover, secluded valleys, and creatures that prefer to stay out of sight. But what we're dealing with here is something else entirely. Something that appears to be tracking her, shadowing her every move, and shifting its form in ways that no familiar creature can account for. So, what do you believe is lurking behind D in this footage? An animal that's simply been mistaken for something sinister? A person concealed among the trees, or something that defies explanation altogether? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Just outside Dubina, Texas, a game camera had been placed on the D-Mall property to monitor the local wildlife. The expectation was nothing out of the ordinary, maybe some deer, a couple of raccoons at most. Then one night, the camera snapped this image. It revealed a hazy figure with strangely elongated limbs, bearing no resemblance to any recognizable creature. Some people thought it looked like a monkey. Others were convinced it was a chupacabra, and a few even threw the word skinwalker into the conversation. A biologist floated the idea that it could be a juvenile black antelope, but the property owner dismissed that immediately. There are no exotic animals in the surrounding area. Whatever showed up that night, it left a lot of people deeply unsettled. Deep in the heart of isolated wilderness, someone managed to capture this puzzling piece of footage. Breaking it down frame by frame, we're treated to a peaceful, natural setting. Dense trees, sweeping grasslands, and a body of water cutting through the scene. But right in the middle of all that natural beauty, a mysterious dark shape suddenly makes its presence known. The figure is far from crisp, likely a result of the footage's poor resolution, and that lack of clarity only makes you want to know more about what you're actually looking at. The immediate speculation, of course, is another potential Bigfoot encounter, and honestly, it's not the wildest conclusion to jump to. Still, the questions keep piling up. Is this thing covered in fur? What exactly is it doing out there? And perhaps most baffling of all, why does it appear to stand completely still for such a long stretch of time? There are those who believe Bigfoot may actually have some kind of natural cloaking ability, which would make this tall, slender, shadowy form all the more fascinating to consider. But could that genuinely be a thing? Honestly, this one has us stumped. Even if the footage itself is shaky at best, the concept of a Bigfoot capable of concealing itself isn't necessarily as far-fetched as it sounds. Or maybe it is. You tell us. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Deep in the heart of the forest, scientists find themselves in an extraordinary moment, standing just meters away from a truly massive beast. Spotted during a birdwatching expedition in Peru, this is the giant armadillo, the largest armadillo species alive today. Known locally as Tatu canastra, captive individuals have been recorded tipping the scales at up to 80 kilograms, while those roaming free in the wild tend to reach around 54 kilograms. That distinctive armored exterior is unlike anything else you'll find out there. The research team watches carefully as the armadillo makes its way across the forest floor. Primarily active at night and rarely seen by human eyes, this creature's sheer bulk and hardened shell give it an almost prehistoric presence. Moments like this don't come around often, offering a fleeting window into the hidden world of one of South America's most extraordinary animals. A Reddit user was making their way through a forested area in the dead of night when something caught their eye. What the camera picks up is a creature that looks like it could be a wolf, coyote, or dog, though its coat is strikingly unusual. A lot of commenters believe the animal may have vitiligo, a condition that disrupts normal pigmentation. Others chimed in with comparable examples, one being a well-known black Labrador with an equally distinctive look. Regardless of what's actually going on, the animal's eerie appearance left people equal parts captivated and deeply unsettled. Down in Florida, a man decided to crawl into a storm drain after dropping his keys. A straightforward enough plan, until things took a deeply disturbing turn. There in the cramped, dark tunnel, he came face to face with an enormous creature lurking in the murky water below. It had a vaguely human shape, covered in pale bluish skin that gave it an almost fish-like appearance. Dripping, matted hair hung across its face, and fin-like appendages extended along its arms. But what really got to him were the eyes, completely white and utterly unsettling. The thing then let out a hiss, and he knew exactly what that meant. It was a warning. He didn't push his luck. He abandoned the keys and scrambled back out of that drain to save, Check out this unsettling footage pulled straight from a body camera. Seriously, put yourself in this person's shoes. What would your reaction be? A strange creature can be seen stretched out on a bed in this footage, with only its gray head and shoulders coming into frame.
What the hell?
The eyes are shut, the mouth hangs slightly open, and the figure appears entirely motionless as human hands prod and poke at it without getting any response whatsoever. There's something deeply unsettling about how lifelike it looks, though that same realism is exactly what has people questioning it. A number of viewers are convinced it's nothing more than a highly detailed prop from a film set, while others suspect it may be a fabricated doll planted there to deceive. This footage was captured by a man visiting the beach who came across a creature completely unlike anything he'd ever seen. He spent time searching the internet for answers and, coming up empty, decided to post the video in hopes that someone else might be able to figure out what it was. Plenty of people took a crack at identifying it, but nobody could come up with a definitive explanation. The animal seems comfortable moving between land and water, though without any hard evidence, it wouldn't be right to jump to conclusions about what it actually. A recently surfaced video has left viewers completely speechless, showcasing a creature that most people have never encountered anything like before. The clip appears to show a massive animal resembling a Triceratops being unloaded from the bed of a truck, and as the ropes are pulled taut, the enormous beast shifts its weight and pushes back, sending tension through the entire scene. Off to the side, a number of bystanders can be seen observing the whole ordeal, with some appearing to monitor the situation with a sharp, focused attention. Given that this event reportedly occurred on December 14th, 2020, people are left with one burning question. Is there any chance a creature like this has survived to the present day, or are we looking at an incredibly convincing fabrication? The following video is about a family that has completely lost their ability to sleep peacefully for months. Not because of noise outside, not because of stress or illness, but because of something happening to their young son every single night. At first, it was easy to dismiss. The boy would wake up crying, saying he had bad dreams, reaching out to his parents as children often do. But over time, the pattern became too specific, too physical, and too disturbing to ignore. According to the parents, he kept insisting that something was pulling his legs while he slept, and although they initially assumed it was imagination or night terrors, they eventually decided to install a camera in the room, hoping to reassure themselves that nothing was actually happening. But what they captured only made things worse.
Después de eso, empezó a despertarse todas las noches llorando. No eran pesadillas normales. Le preguntamos y dijo que veía a un señor llamado Daniel. El ambiente en la casa se sentía pesado y raro. Una noche, la cámara grabó. Se ve claramente cómo algo lo jala de su pierna. Hoy lo mostramos porque ya no vivimos ahí, pero todavía no sabemos qué fue lo que pasó o qué era.
After seeing the video, many viewers offered medical explanations, suggesting sleep disorders such as night terrors, muscle spasms, or parasomnias, conditions where the brain partially wakes the body while the person remains unconscious. Others suggested neurological causes or involuntary reflexes that can happen during deep sleep. But then someone asked a simple question. Had they brought anything new into the house recently? That was when the parents revealed something they hadn't thought much about before. The mattress the boy had been sleeping on was secondhand. They had purchased it used, unaware of its history, unaware of where it came from, or who may have slept on it before. And once that detail was revealed, the tone of the conversation shifted entirely. Because in paranormal cases, objects, especially personal ones like beds, mirrors, and clothing, are often believed to carry residual energy from previous owners, particularly if that person experienced trauma, illness, or death. But the most disturbing detail was something the boy himself had been saying. He told his parents that there's a man he sees sometimes, a man named David. That same night, the boy woke up crying again. More intensely than usual, his mother stayed beside him, holding him, trying to calm him down, reassuring him that he was safe. Then, something happened that she could not explain. According to her, she felt a physical tug, a force pulling at him while she was right there beside him, something she could not see but could undeniably feel. That moment changed everything, because now it was no longer just the boy's experience. It was hers too. Desperate for answers, they tried everything they could think of. They took him to the hospital, where doctors found no medical explanation. They took him to church, where prayers were said over him. They poured holy water around the bed. He slept wearing a rosary for protection. They placed gold near him, believing it could act as a spiritual shield in certain traditions, and they put sea salt and scissors under the bed. Practices believed in some cultures to ward off or cut spiritual attachments, but nothing worked. So they removed the mattress entirely, believing that if something was attached to the bed, removing it would solve the problem. But the activity continued, and when some viewers began accusing the parents of exaggerating or neglecting their child, the mother decided to share this. Even without the mattress, the boy continued reacting to something unseen. This led many to believe that if something had originally been attached to the mattress, it may no longer be confined to it. Some paranormal researchers believe that entities can transfer their attachment from objects to people, especially if the person is vulnerable, emotionally open, or repeatedly exposed to the phenomenon. But the most terrifying moment came on another night. If you listen closely, you can hear what sounds like a faint male voice in the room, a voice that does not belong to the parents or the child. It's subtle, but distinct enough that viewers immediately began connecting it to the name the boy had been repeating, David. And as if that wasn't enough, the camera captured something else. Watch. A strange white mist can be seen moving above the husband's side of the bed. Some viewers argue it could be dust, while others believe it resembles what paranormal investigators call an orb or manifestation, a visible concentration of energy taking form. And when you combine everything, the pulling, the voice, the mist, and the boy's repeated claims of seeing a man no one else can see, it raises a chilling possibility. What if the boy was never imagining anything at all? What if something really was there, watching, waiting, and slowly making its presence known? In this next video, a nurse working the night shift at a hospital begins noticing something that makes her question everything she thought she understood about the building she works in. Hospitals are already places filled with intense emotions, fear, grief, relief, and sometimes death. They are places where people arrive at their most vulnerable, and in many paranormal theories, locations like these are believed to hold onto emotional and spiritual residue long after events have passed. According to the nurse, strange things had been happening for weeks, but most of it was subtle enough to ignore. Wheelchairs would occasionally be found in different positions from where they were left. Doors that had been closed would sometimes be slightly open again. And more than once, staff reported hearing faint metallic sounds coming from empty corridors late at night. as if something was moving when no one was there. At first, these incidents were blamed on staff members forgetting where they left equipment or on drafts moving through the long hospital hallways. But one night, the nurse experienced something she could not explain away. Have a look.
Esto lo voy a dejar registrado porque son 16 de diciembre, 11 de la noche. Bueno, mira, esta wea está pasando hace mucho rato y yo acá estoy sola, weón. No hay nadie.
Within the study of paranormal phenomena and parapsychology, movements like this are often associated with what investigators call intelligent hauntings, where an unseen entity interacts physically with the environment in a purposeful way. Unlike residual hauntings, which are believed to be energy replaying past events like a recording, intelligent hauntings suggest awareness, intention, and sometimes even observation. And when the nurse shared the video, other hospital staff began opening up about things they had never spoken about before. Some said they had seen wheelchairs slowly rotating in empty rooms. Others claimed they had heard faint breathing sounds near them while standing alone. One staff member admitted that while walking past an empty ward late at night, she heard the distinct sound of wheels rolling behind her, but when she turned around, nothing was there. Some paranormal researchers believe hospitals can become hotspots for spiritual activity because of the sheer number of lives that pass through them, especially those who never expected their final moments to happen there. It is believed that some spirits may remain attached to the last place they experience consciousness, confusion, or unfinished emotional connections. Others have suggested an even more unsettling possibility. What if the wheelchair wasn't moving randomly at all? What if it was being used the same way it once was by someone who either doesn't realize they're gone or refuses to accept it? There are also those who believe that spirits are drawn to objects they frequently used in life, and for patients who relied on wheelchairs for mobility, the chair itself may hold residual attachment, becoming a physical anchor for their presence. But I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. The man in this next video has been dealing with a series of unexplainable disturbances inside his studio, events that started subtly enough to dismiss, but over time began escalating into something far more difficult to rationalize. Doors slamming shut directly in front of him with no warning, and neighbors repeatedly complaining about a strange, unsettling noise coming from his bathroom late at night, a sound they insist doesn't resemble plumbing, footsteps, or anything that should exist inside an empty space. Eventually, he installs a security camera, hoping to catch something ordinary, something he can explain away. But one evening, after locking up and leaving the studio completely empty, his phone suddenly alerts him that motion has been detected and the camera has switched into tracking mode. Watch. If no one is inside, then what exactly is the camera following? Also, while the camera continues tracking this invisible presence, the studio door suddenly swings shut on its own, and at nearly the same moment, the doll sitting quietly nearby shifts position, its movement subtle but undeniable. And this is where things become harder to ignore. Just days earlier, he had returned to the studio after being away for weeks, and almost immediately noticed something was wrong. Watch.
Yo había dejado limpio y hay unas huellas ahí. Esos días hizo bastante frío, hizo mucho frío. Bueno, para que alguien anduviera descalzo, lo dudo mucho. Para la gente de aquí de Chihuahua sabe que no se puede andar uno descalzo en la calle. Y luego miren, yo calzo del 9. Ese pie es enorme, está muy 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 grande. No es mi pie. Está muy muy grande el pie.
Some believe the mirror he recently brought into the studio is the source, because according to him, the strange activity began almost immediately after it arrived, and in paranormal belief, mirrors are often considered more than reflective surfaces. They are seen as thresholds, objects capable of holding energy, or even allowing something to cross from one side into another. But others aren't focused on the mirror. They're focused on the doll because, unlike the mirror, the doll doesn't simply reflect. It exists as a physical object, something that can be occupied, something that can be used. And in many documented cases, dolls have been associated with physical disturbances, movement, and unexplained interaction with their surroundings. The final group believe it's both the mirror and the doll. According to them, the mirror may have opened the way and the doll may have become where it stayed. After nearly a week of silence, the camera captures something else. Watch. Someone or something was definitely there, and the most disturbing part is that whatever was there never fully revealed itself. Then, another night this happens. more orbs appear, floating through the darkness, and then the cabinet suddenly opens on its own, and then something happens that very few people notice. As he connected the camera, something whispered, "Don't go." This raises a question that's far more disturbing than any moving object or slamming door. Because if something inside that studio doesn't want him to leave, it may be because it doesn't want to be alone. Until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. The following video was captured by a group of ghost hunters who decided to explore an abandoned house after several reports suggested something dark was attached to the property. From the moment they stepped inside, they described the atmosphere as heavy, tense, and almost hostile. The kind of place where silence doesn't feel empty, but watchful. Believing the presence to be malevolent, they began praying, hoping to protect themselves and possibly force whatever was there to reveal itself. But according to many paranormal beliefs, prayer doesn't always bring peace. Some say it agitates negative entities, almost like shining a light on something that wants to stay hidden. Watch what happens next.
Bun.
Ești sigur?
Da. Hai, uite acum zic. Ia. Cred în bunul Dumnezeu, Tatăl Altotțiitorul, Făcătorul cerului și al pământului.
Oprește-te, oprește! Băi, Alin, uite alea cum fac bilile toate trei.
Știu unde am rămas.
Ea nu va pleca.
Da, știu când va pleca. Tatăl al tot țiitorului, Făcătorul cerului și al pământului, care pretutindeni ești și pe toate le împlinești, vistierul bunătăților și dătătorule de viață, vino și ne slăzășluiește întru noi și ne cu toată închinăciunea. Băi, nebunilor, băi!
Fai de capul meu! Nu mai zi, măi, te rog eu!
Ce s-o sparg? Nu s-o sparg nimic. Cum să spargă ceva?
Frate, nimic nu.
Doamne ferește. Dar ce să spargă?
Hai de capul meu!
Dar nu se
Bă,
vede.
mi-e frică, nu mai fă, frate, că murim!
Păi da, bine că s-o auzit spart, dar nu-i spart nimic. Deci vă asigur eu că nu-i spart nimic. Ce să fie spart?
Dau arda aici că mâini, că nu-i jali, măi.
Viewers believe this reaction suggests the presence felt threatened, not comforted by the prayers. Others argue that prayer can act as a form of confrontation, drawing attention from entities that feed on fear or resistance. Whatever the case, the timing is hard to ignore. But until we get more updates about this house, this remains unsolved. Now, in the following videos, a man and his family are convinced they're living with a ghost. In fact, they've gone as far as giving it a name, Ghost Malone, a playful nod to Post Malone, because according to them, the presence feels calm, relaxed, and non-threatening. They say things move around their house almost every night, especially toys, but insist it has never tried to hurt them. Still, many viewers can't help but ask the same question. How long does a spirit stay harmless? Take a look at what a typical night in their home looks like.
It's 3:30 in the morning. I swear on my life. For freaking toy cars. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. No. No, sir. No, ma'am. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know whether to wake Elizabeth or somebody call Justin Nunley. Or an exorcist. I mean, I'm not scared, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't shaking. So I'm just gonna leave it there till the morning for Elizabeth to come play with it. And it's not electronical, y'all. There's no damn motor in that thing. I feel so weird and out of place right now. I don't know if it's still there. To be truthful, I'm thinking about just leaving Elizabeth in Revelation and going somewhere for the night. I don't know what to do. Let's check on it. You still there? Pirates of the Caribbean's getting good. I'm not scared. I'm just kind of freaked out because, like, it's friendly. Has it thrown it?
What immediately stands out is the toy car. It has no batteries, no electrical components, and yet it moves on its own. Some viewers tried to brush it off as coincidence, uneven flooring, or leftover momentum, but those explanations quickly fall apart when you realize this isn't a one-time event, and it's not just one toy. Similar things have happened repeatedly, and after seeing this clip, many people weren't convinced that whatever was in the house was truly harmless. Some believe genuinely good spirits are rare, and when they do exist, they don't usually interact directly with the living. Concerned viewers suggested the father try certain cleansing methods to see how the presence would react, a way to test whether the entity was truly peaceful or simply pretending. So the next morning, he followed some of those suggestions. Watch what happened.
I actually fell asleep, and this is what I woke up to. Elizabeth. Baby. Hey. Okay, no, for real, like, so what are we doing? Oh. Okay. Are you... Somebody said salt. Hold on.
I don't know if you're supposed to draw a circle around it.
Well, it's a half circle, but I don't think you're supposed to do anything else. I don't know. Y'all got suggestions, let me know.
Instead of focusing on the fact that the holy water, salt, and prayers didn't seem to drive anything away, viewers noticed something far more disturbing. If you look closely at the doorway, you can see what appears to be a small, childlike figure standing completely still. That single detail sent chills through the comment section, but that raised another unsettling question. Why did the cleansing attempt seem to have little to no effect? Well, things escalated beyond toys. Watch this.
Are you there? Yeah, I thought so. Okay. Well, that's one of the things that I've discovered.
Whenever the house goes quiet, all he has to do is ask, "Are you there?" And something moves in response. At that point, many viewers said it could no longer be coincidence. But what troubled people even more was the interaction itself. A lot of paranormal believers warn that acknowledging a spirit gives it energy. Others say responding invites it closer, strengthens its presence, or even allows attachment. Despite all of that, the family continues living as normal, still convinced it isn't dangerous. One night, they didn't only check if it was there, they tried to communicate with it. Watch closely.
So we are all sitting here, enjoying our Taco Bell, right? And Ghost Malone was over there shaking the door a second ago. Ghost Malone, if you are still around, do something.
It was a sign.
Oh, okay. Okay. Nonchalant. Alright, so ironically, I'm watching Ghostbusters, right? Ghost Malone, Ghosty. Yo. Are you kidding? Alright, so I've been asking Ghost Malone some questions. Okay, so 1 time if you're there, 2 times, or I guess no times if you're not. Definitely there, okay. Are you friendly? Okay, okay. Do you like Ghostbusters? No? Okay, do you like movies? Okay, okay. And just on Ghostbusters, I guess it's insulting. Are you here to cause harm? Okay. Okay. Man, I wish I knew Morse code. We'd try that. Are you an older spirit? Okay, but not a bad spirit. Okay. Is there more than one of you? Okay.
Many believe dark entities don't reveal their true nature immediately. Instead, they appear calm, friendly, even playful, a tactic often compared to the Annabelle doll, which was first believed to be harmless before far darker activity followed. Because of this, viewers are increasingly convinced that whatever this entity is, it may be growing stronger, not kinder. People urge the family to stop interacting, cleanse the home thoroughly, and protect themselves before things escalated further, but none of the things happening bothers them. Take a look.
So a couple weird things have happened tonight, like my mom's painting over there has moved. Ghosty. Ghost Malone. You there? Don't judge the trash. It's trash day. Ghosty. Okay. Maxie, what was that? Huh? So we're sitting here. Revelation here, is it?
Hi, Maxie.
It should also be noted that we've had several offers from paranormal people to come here and whatnot. We're down, but there's been a few of them that are private profiles, minus the big ones you guys have suggested. Nobody's reached out, but I don't know. I might take offers for people to just come stay the night so you can see whether it's real or not for yourself. I don't know. But yeah, I am gonna take a list of questions. I've been writing down in the comments all the questions you guys have for Ghost Malone. And then we're going to do the Stranger Things light or dog button things to see if that does anything.
This time, even the dog reacts. As the playpen moves, the dog retreats into its cage, a response many believe animals only show when they sense something threatening. According to viewers, a presence strong enough to move objects, frighten a dog, and respond intelligently isn't something to take lightly. Some believe this entity was never harmless, just patient. But until the family shares more updates, all anyone can do is hope the situation doesn't turn dangerous. Now, in this next video, a guy who goes by the username Mosh moved to Appalachia, and according to him, he hasn't had a single peaceful moment since. Appalachia is one of those places people constantly warn you about. Dense forests, winding back roads, long stretches with no cell service, and generations of folklore that all seem to agree on one thing. If something calls out to you out there, you don't answer. Many believe the land itself holds onto things that don't like being disturbed. Mosh has been documenting his experiences both inside his home and outside, and in several of his earlier videos, paranormal investigators and longtime viewers suggested he might be dealing with what are often called jokester spirits, entities that don't immediately harm you, but thrive on fear, confusion, and reaction. They mimic sounds, footsteps, and voices just enough to make you question your sanity. One night, while walking, Mosh suddenly got the overwhelming feeling that something was following him. Not just a sound, but a presence, staying just out of sight. Trusting his instincts, he checked the camera he installed in the house and saw this. Watch. After reviewing the footage, many viewers say this explains a lot. The unexplained footsteps, the whispers he's heard when no one is around, and that constant sense of being watched. Some believe whatever this is has been testing boundaries, slowly revealing itself once it realized Mosh was paying attention. Others think it's feeding off his fear, waiting for the moment he reacts or responds. So, what do you see in this video? And more importantly, what do you think has been following him this whole time? The following video is shared by a man who had previously documented how everything in his apartment changed the moment he brought home a set of old toys. Almost immediately, the space felt different. Knocking sounds began echoing through the walls, objects shifted on their own, and at times the presence felt so overwhelming that he would lock himself in another room out of fear. But this next video unsettles viewers for a different reason. This time, none of the dolls or toys are visible anywhere in the apartment, and yet the activity continues. Watch closely.
Son las 2 de la mañana, se están escuchando ruidos en la sala. Está moviendo la silla, raza. La madre. Escucho algo acá, raza. Tomaron el desodorante. ¿Qué estará pasando, anda? Madre.
Whatever is disturbing this apartment hasn't left with the objects themselves. Many believe spirits don't always stay attached to the item that brought them in. Some think the toys may have acted as a doorway, something that allowed an entity to anchor itself to the space rather than the objects. Others argue this could be residual energy, replaying moments of disturbance long after the source is removed. But there's also a darker theory, that removing the items only angered whatever was invited in. But what do you think? Now in this next clip, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian investigates the Mabel Tainter Memorial Theater, a location widely considered one of the most haunted places in Wisconsin. The theater was commissioned in 1889 by Captain Andrew Tainter and his wife Bertha in honor of their late daughter Mabel Tainter, who tragically died at just 19 years old. In life, Mabel was deeply passionate about music and the arts, and because of that, no expense was spared in the theater's design. From its grand architecture to its detailed interior, the building was meant to preserve her spirit and legacy. While exploring the theater late at night, Ian begins taking photographs inside the theater room when he suddenly hears a loud bang echo through the building. Tracing the noise, Ian follows it to an office once used by Reverend Henry Maxson. Watch closely.
That's his old chalkboard right there. And that is his handwriting. They've kept that preserved. That must have been from his last lecture, before dying. Father, if you are indeed in here, could you tap on your chalkboard? Make a tapping sound like you're writing on it. I would be amazed if you did that. What the? That sounded like paper being moved. It was on this desk. Like, whoa, you see that? Dude, look at that. That has to be it. Look at that, it's literally hanging off of the table.
Maxson wasn't just any figure connected to this place. He was the Unitarian pastor who originally convinced Andrew and Bertha Tainter to build the memorial for Mabel. When the building officially opened in 1890, it served not only as a theater, but also as a community center and the permanent home of the Unitarian Society of Menomonee. Maxson himself gave the presentation address at the building's dedication, and for years, Sunday services were held directly on the theater's stage, with Maxson preaching to the congregation. Before leaving the office, Ian decides to set his camera down, leaving it recording as he steps away. What happens next is unsettling. Did Ian manage to capture the ghost of Reverend Henry Maxton still sitting at his desk, tied to the theater he once served? For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clip was captured by Amanda, who's had some of the strangest encounters inside her home. About 2 weeks after she moved in, she woke up one morning to shocking news. A body had been found in her backyard. And according to Amanda, ever since that day, the house hasn't felt the same. Have a look.
I am freaked the f out. I just got home and tell me why my chairs are like this. Like what the f. I literally still have my coat on. I come walking through the fucking. Oh my god. I'm like shaking right now. I just went and dropped my daughter off to her dad's house. And all the chairs were around the table. What the f. Oh my god. I need to call my mom.
Chairs don't end up like this by accident, and this is not something caused by drafts, pets, or structural shifts. In paranormal discussions, this kind of activity is often linked to an intelligence trying to be noticed, especially when the setup is visually striking rather than destructive. Since then, Amanda says doors open on their own, lights flicker and malfunction, and the house feels different, heavier, quieter, like something is always just out of view. Some believe the discovery of the body may have triggered residual energy tied to trauma, while others think the attention and disturbance surrounding the property may have awakened something that was already there. Skeptics argue stress and fear can heighten awareness, making ordinary issues feel sinister, but others point out that recurring physical changes, especially ones involving multiple objects, are harder to dismiss. Now, Amanda just wants to know one thing. Is there a chance this all has a normal explanation? Or is this a situation that requires real intervention before it escalates? What do you think? This next video was captured by a family's security camera, installed after everyone in the house woke up to a loud bang in the middle of the night, followed by several other unsettling incidents they couldn't explain. Hoping to catch whatever was happening, they set up cameras. Take a look. Aside from the obvious breathing sound, viewers immediately notice something else. On the right side of the screen, along the staircase, something moved. When the family reviewed this footage, it made other moments fall into place. Just weeks earlier, the sister of one of the couples living here called her and asked what she was doing standing on her front porch. Now here's the problem. She wasn't home. She was at work, nowhere near the house. But the anxiety in the house escalated when the family noticed their dogs reacting. Watch this.
Sometimes in 5 barking. Connor! Knock it off! Hey! Barking at the door again. No one's there. Go neck Lee. No one's there, honey. Nobody's here. It's all good. It's all good in the hood.
The dog repeatedly barks at the door, staring at it with focus. Not playful, not distracted, but locked in, as if responding to something it can sense but humans can't. Animals are often said to react to subtle changes in energy, sound frequencies, or presence long before people do. And when pets fixate on empty spaces, doors, or corners, many believe it's because something unseen has crossed into our world. And if you look at the activities they've experienced, the breathing caught on camera, the movement on the stairs, the mimic sighting on the porch, and the dogs reacting, this no longer feels like a single incident. It feels like a pattern. So could this be heightened anxiety and coincidence? Or is something inside the house slowly making itself known, watching, copying, and waiting? You decide. Now, in this next video, Nate, who's been trying to get to the bottom of whatever is happening inside his house, captures something new on camera. By now, his experiences follow a disturbing pattern. He wakes up to objects scattered across his kitchen floor, his dog refuses to enter certain corners of the house, and the sound of footsteps moving along the stairs when no one else is home. One night, while waiting for a UFC fight to start, he begins hearing something unusual. Listen closely.
Guys, I want you guys to check this out. So, I'm just chilling here, waiting for the UFC fights to start. Dog's there. And I'm just sitting here. I was re-racking my weights. And I was hearing the scratching. And it sounded like it was coming from like right in front of me. But I don't see anything. Like, up. I heard it. But I was like looking. And it sounded like it was coming from like... You hear that? What the f is that? It sounded like it was coming from like right in front here, but... I don't see anything else. What the f? Like, I have no clue.
Hearing scratching or dragging sounds can mean something is trying to mark territory or test physical boundaries, especially when it happens repeatedly in the same areas of a home. Another detail viewers couldn't ignore is Nate's environment. His house is almost always dark. Many believe prolonged darkness, cluttered spaces, and low lighting can make activity feel stronger, either by heightening fear or, according to paranormal belief, by creating conditions where negative entities feel more comfortable. Another night, a different sound woke him. This time, it wasn't scratching, it was stomping, and when Nate got up to check the house, this happened.
Hey guys. So I was upstairs and was woken up to the sound of stomping down here. I mean, loud stomping. It is currently 2:52 a.m. So it's a little before 3 a.m. And the weird thing about it is when I woke up to the sound of the stomping, the dog was sleeping, not even alerted. It's almost like she couldn't hear it. So, as soon as I came down, I walked into like a cold spot. It felt like a certain area was cold. But it was loud. It was such a loud stomp. Like I said, it's 2:50, 3 a.m.
Scratching, stomping footsteps, all familiar at this point. But what truly unsettled him was something else entirely. His dog didn't react. Normally, animals respond instantly to loud physical sounds, yet during the stomping, his dog remained unusually calm, as if it either couldn't hear it or didn't perceive it the same way Nate did. Some believe the dog may have already learned to avoid reacting, but this concern quickly became secondary. Because the next morning, Nate woke up to something far more disturbing: scratches on his body. If this had happened once, it's easy to say he accidentally scratched himself while he was asleep, a reaction to fabric, even stress-related skin irritation. But it didn't stop. It kept happening. And on the morning after the stomping incident, he recorded this. Watch.
So the people that were asking for a better view of the scratch that I woke up with on my leg. Here it is. Like I said, it's not super deep, but it goes down pretty far. And I also noticed on the opposite side, I have two here on the same leg, but on the opposite side, that I woke up this morning with. Now, these ones didn't burn as bad as this one. This one was 2 mornings ago when I woke up. This burned, and I looked down and saw that. And then this morning when I got up at like 2:30 a.m., I woke up to stomping downstairs. And it wasn't until after I worked out and everything that I noticed these. So, yeah, that's the update.
As Nate shows the marks on his body, many viewers begin connecting everything. The scratching sounds at night, the dragging noises, the stomping footsteps, and now, physical marks appearing while he sleeps. This points to something more than a simple house haunting. Physical interaction, especially repeated scratching, is often cited in cases involving attachments rather than locations. Some believe this points towards something escalating, moving from environmental disturbances to personal interaction. Others think whatever is in the house may be trying to assert control, feeding on fear, isolation, or even exhaustion. And the most disturbing part, the activity isn't random anymore. It's consistent. And it's getting closer. So whether it's an attachment, an oppressive presence, or something feeding off the darkness and silence, one thing is clear. Whatever this is, it's no longer staying in the shadows. And until Nate gets answers, this case remains deeply unsettling and completely unsolved. In the following video, a woman's first son is home alone, quietly watching TV when he suddenly hears someone call his name. At first, he doesn't think much of it, until he responds and hears the voice again. This time, it sounds exactly like his little brother. Watch.
Hola. ¿Quién es?
Soy yo. ¿Tú? ¿Quieres jugar a la pelota?
Pero la Chu no se había ido al médico con mi madre. ¡Hijo de p***!
Hola, Michael. No, si la Chu está acá en el médico, estamos en el médico acá, vamos a demorar un poco para llegar. No estamos en casa.
The confusion sets in immediately. His brother isn't home, he's at the hospital with their mother, waiting to see a doctor. So there's no possible reason for his voice to be inside the house. But many viewers believe he didn't handle the situation well when he responded. In paranormal folklore, responding to a voice you can't verify is often considered a mistake, especially when the voice belongs to someone who physically isn't there. Many believe mimics rely on acknowledgement, and once you answer, you're confirming awareness, opening the door for further interaction. That's why one of the most repeated rules in cases like this is simple: don't respond, don't investigate, and don't follow the voice. As for what this could be, most people landed on two possibilities: a mimic or a doppelganger. And while the terms are often used interchangeably online, there's an important difference. A mimic imitates voices to provoke a response. It doesn't need to be seen. It feeds on confusion and fear, using familiar voices to draw someone in, often calling names or repeating phrases. Also, it's usually heard before it's ever seen, if it's seen at all. A doppelganger, on the other hand, is typically visual. It's believed to appear as a full physical copy of a person, seen walking, standing, or watching, sometimes even interacting briefly before disappearing. Doppelgangers are less about sound and more about presence. In this case, there's no figure, no visual confirmation, just a voice, perfectly copied, calling out from inside the house. That leans heavily toward a mimic, and once a voice knows you'll answer, it rarely stops calling. So, which was it? You decide. Now, in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Boyd house. At this point, he's still inside the room with the haunted painting, the same room where the power mysteriously died the moment the artwork was brought in. Earlier, Ian heard a heavy dragging sound echo through the room. Most people would have left immediately, but Ian didn't. Instead of backing out, he stayed put and began slowly scanning the room, hoping to capture something. Watch closely.
See if anyone's out in the hallway here.
Oh my God.
Calm down. Oh, calm down. That sounded like a growl. And worst of all, it came from that closet that I was just in. Okay. Oh gosh. Gosh. Oh, whoa, what the hell is that? Dude, what the Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, I'm ready to get the hell out of here. There's something in there. There's something in there.
Aside from the low, unsettling growl that can be heard, something far more disturbing appears on his thermal camera. When you look closer, the shape resembles a distorted human face, and this room has a long history of activity. Ever since that painting arrived, the disturbances seem to center there. No electricity, sudden noises, and now, a possible manifestation. Many believe cursed objects can act as anchors, giving something a place to attach itself, feed from, and eventually show itself. If that's true, then this raises an unsettling question. Was this the first time the entity tied to the painting allowed itself to be seen? Or has it always been there, just waiting for someone to stay long enough to notice it? For more haunting videos, including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. In the following clip, a couple begins to notice strange, unexplained movements inside their home. It starts subtly, items not being where they were left, an uneasy feeling when certain rooms go quiet, and moments where it feels like someone else is present even when they're alone. One evening, one of them notices something she's absolutely certain about. The blinds in one room are open, even though she clearly remembers closing them. She shuts them again and leaves the room. Minutes later, she returns, and the blinds are open, so this time, instead of brushing it off, she stays, pulls out her phone, and starts recording to see what's causing it. Watch closely.
Me, or is that an opening?
Let me pause this shit, cause is it me? Oh my god, baby. Baby. Is it me or are they fucking opening?
After the video was shared, explanations quickly followed. Some suggested the blinds might be loose or no longer tight enough, slowly slipping down on their own. Others speculated that someone could be standing outside the window. But when she stepped outside to check for footprints or signs of anyone nearby, there were none. No marks, no disturbance, nothing that could explain it. What makes this harder for the couple to dismiss is that this isn't the only strange thing they've experienced. They've openly said they believe they're gifted with sight, able to sense and see spirits, and because of past experiences, they're already open to the idea that the paranormal is very real. They've encountered unusual things outside their home as well, events that reinforce that belief. One moment that stands out happened when they took their nephew Nick to the park shortly after he lost his best friend. While spending time there, something unexpected was captured. Watch and listen closely.
This is a video of our nephew at the park, and his best friend had recently died. Let us know what you hear.
Ow, my head! My head got hurt twice!
Some people hear a voice saying, "Nick, I love you." Others believe it says, "I can help you." Was this a comforting message meant only for him, or something else entirely trying to make contact? Let me know what you heard. Now, in this next clip, a man is trying to get to the root of why his younger daughter is terrified of a particular toy. Every time she sees it, she cries. When it's brought closer, she screams and tries to get away, refusing to stay in the same room with it. She won't touch it, won't look at it for long, and becomes visibly distressed whenever it's nearby. Behavior that her parents say doesn't happen with any of her other toys. One evening, hoping to understand what was triggering such a strong reaction, the father brings the toy out again with the help of his older daughter. As they interact with it, he suddenly notices something unsettling. Watch.
Okay, pull the string.
Okay.
Let it go slow. Alright, now do it regular. Alright, I'll do it again, but a little slower.
Before jumping to conclusions, it's important to know what this toy actually is. Viewers quickly pointed out that it's a 1985 Secret Care Bear, one of the early talking toys. Unlike modern toys that use digital electronics, these older models relied on sound cylinders. The slower the pull string retracts, the slower the cylinder turns, which can cause the voice to stretch, warp, and distort, similar to forcing a vinyl record to slow down mid-play. Back in the day, many parents complained that these toys sounded disturbing, even describing the voices as demonic, but that's not where the concern ends. Some people took things much further, pointing to the symbols on the Care Bears' bellies, known as belly badges. According to proponents, these symbols resemble veves, religious markings used in voodoo practices believed to act as spiritual beacons or invitations for specific entities. While others dismiss this as coincidence or overinterpretation, those who believe in spiritual sensitivity argue that children are often more perceptive to energies adults ignore. So if this little girl reacts so strongly to this specific toy, could it really be just the distorted voice? Or is she sensing something else entirely? I'd leave you to be the judge of this one. In the following clip, a woman was just about to take a shower when her friend FaceTimed her. During the call, the friend jokingly teased her about the way she had wrapped her hair before hanging up. Laughing it off, she decided to rewrap it properly and record a short video to send back as proof she could do it better this time. But while she was recording, something completely unexpected happened. Watch closely. From her reaction alone, you can tell how deeply it shook her. And honestly, it's hard to blame her. She had already heard unsettling stories from neighbors in the building, reports of curtains moving on their own, unexplained knocking late at night, and even whispers coming from empty rooms. So when her own curtains suddenly began moving violently, not swaying gently, but tugged as if someone was deliberately pulling it, panic took over, and in that moment, running was the only thing she could think to do. But if whatever caused that movement had actually shifted into her apartment, many argue that running alone wouldn't solve anything. But is there a chance this is a one-time incident? Or should she start taking it seriously? Now, in this next video, a family had just moved into a home tucked deep in the Smoky Mountains, not far from the Appalachian range. And according to them, it's been one disturbing incident after another since the day they arrived. At first, it was little things they tried to brush off. Strange noises at night, an uneasy feeling when the sun went down, and the sense that the woods surrounding their property were never truly quiet. But one night, the husband and son went outside to bring one of their chickens back into the coop when something suddenly charged at them from the darkness. Watch closely.
Yeah,
really faster than deer.
Towards us. Well, yeah, from the same fucking place, the same place.
And so I shot.
Lights to the right.
I shot a couple of times.
Right, fired off around.
Well, I've shot. I think I may have even hit it.
Right there, left. I just saw eyes right there.
Yeah, we've been seeing eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Over there.
I'm going inside and I'm telling them what happened.
Telling you what happened. Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I don't blame you, dude. That's
this is insane.
Clearly something.
This is insane. Okay, my phone died. It literally went from 60 to 1 and then it died, okay? So we're sitting here, we realize what's going on. I say it's the chairs being drug across the concrete, okay? Then all of a sudden we hear tapping. The door is on the other side of this, right through those doors right there. The tapping was through there. That's where the hot tub is, on that side. And right along that side of the property line right there is where it was last night, okay? Then, right after 4 taps on that glass, something tried to put in a code on my front door, and it was wrong, and it went da-na-na-na, and then it left, and it was complete silence. My 2 oldest boys were at the gym. My other son, who is 16, and my husband, who protects our home mostly, okay, were gone. This thing waited until the protectors of our home were gone to intimidate us. And not 1, but 2 this time. I immediately went, I got my AR, I slammed in the clip, I flipped that motherfucker to fire, and I chambered that bitch.
Only people that were in the home were women, children, and the elderly.
I went and checked all the doors. I locked 2 doors that were unlocked. Only one of those doors had somebody been out of today. The other one has not been touched. It never is used. Nobody ever uses that entrance. I went and opened my grandpa's door. I checked on him. He said he'd been in there the whole time. I said, Grandpa, something's trying to get in the house. Do not come out. We're sweeping the house with guns. Stay in this room. Call me if you need me.
Once the video circulated, people familiar with Appalachian folklore began chiming in. Many claimed this sounded eerily similar to encounters they'd had themselves. Some suggested a rake. Others went even further, saying the behavior matched stories tied to Wendigos or skinwalkers, entities long associated with remote wooded areas and mountain regions like this. Advice poured in quickly. Viewers urged them to place iron spikes at all 4 corners of their property line. Others recommended walking the perimeter with salt as a protective barrier. A lot of people warned them to stop staring into the tree line at night, claiming that acknowledging whatever is out there can invite more activity. But just a few days later, something else happened. She went into the kitchen to grab something and noticed something completely out of place. Watch.
I never used to leave my front porch lights on. What the f is that? Hey yo, what the f is that? Oh, no, 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 no.
After this second clip, interest in her story exploded, and that's when she shared something deeply personal. According to her, she's had a paranormal attachment since she was a toddler. She claims it eventually left after she rededicated her life to Christ, but she also admits that strange experiences have followed her family over the years, and now, since moving to this area, whatever it is feels stronger, more aggressive, and far more frequent. So the question remains, is this activity tied to the land, the deep woods and ancient energy of the Appalachian Mountains? Or is something from her past finding its way back to her now? Let me know what you think. This next video was captured on Christmas Day, a time most people associate with peace, family, and quiet moments at home. But for this family, whatever has been haunting their house didn't take a break for the holidays. They had already been dealing with unexplained activity for weeks. Still, they hoped Christmas would at least bring some calm. Well, it didn't. Take a look. At the very beginning, a voice can be heard clearly saying Eva, followed shortly after by Simon, the exact names of people living inside the house. That detail alone is what made this clip especially disturbing. Many believe that when a spirit uses someone's real name, it's not random. In some belief systems, speaking a person's name is thought to establish a stronger connection, almost like marking them. And then there are those who warn that this kind of behavior signals escalation, a sign that the activity is moving beyond noises and into direct interaction. Skeptics tried to make their points, but for the family, hearing their names spoken inside their own home on Christmas Day of all days didn't feel like coincidence. So what do you think this was? A spirit trying to communicate, or something darker attempting to latch on? Now, this next clip was also recorded on Christmas Day, and interestingly, many people believe this is a time when houses can become more active, not less. Across different cultures and belief systems, Christmas is often described as a kind of thin moment, where emotions run high, memories are stirred, and homes are filled with energy tied to family, loss, and tradition. Paranormal enthusiasts often claim that spirits are more active during holidays because of this emotional intensity. There are countless reports tied specifically to Christmas: footsteps heard while everyone is asleep, ornaments moving on their own, voices captured on recordings during gift opening, and even children claiming to see unfamiliar figures standing near trees or doorways. And for the lady in this video, Christmas Day was no exception. Watch this.
Me encanta porque se me abrió la puerta del ropero sola. No, pero escúchame una cosa. Nos quedamos donde estamos acá, no saludamos a nadie. Chao. Buenas noches, nos vamos todos a dormir.
After this clip was shared, the comments section quickly filled up as viewers began sharing their own Christmas-related experiences. So now it's your turn. Have you ever experienced something strange on Christmas Day or during the holidays? Or was it just a coincidence? Now, this next clip was captured by a family we've featured on this channel before. A family whose house situation has been one of the hardest for viewers to make sense of. On the very first day of the year, while most people were sleeping peacefully or welcoming a fresh start, this family barely managed an hour of rest. Watch.
Espérame, voy a ver allá abajo, no hay nada acá.
At first glance, it might be easy for some to dismiss this as staged, but the reactions of the children tell a very different story. This is pure fear, the kind of fear that comes from living with something you don't understand and can't escape from. Many viewers keep repeating the same advice, just move. But how easy is that really? When funds are limited, when the housing market is tight, and when every affordable option feels out of reach, leaving isn't as simple as packing bags and walking away. The family says they've tried everything they know, so this is one mystery that refuses to let go. This footage dates back to August 2025 and was captured by a security camera inside a family home. A woman who's been fighting a slow, exhausting mystery within her own walls. One that didn't begin with terror, but with small things that felt off. At first, it was easy to ignore. Toys would turn up in strange places, nowhere near where her child left them. Doors she distinctly remembers locking the night before would be standing open by morning. But what unsettled her most was something harder to explain. Every now and then, the house would suddenly fill with a smell. Sharp, sterile, like medicine, or cold metal, with no source she could identify. For nearly 3 years, she tried to approach it rationally, but nothing stopped the feeling that something wasn't right. Eventually, she installed security cameras throughout the house and began checking the footage whenever she could. On August 23rd, 2025, the cameras finally captured something she wasn't prepared for. The first clip was recorded while her young son was asleep and she was taking a bath. The second clip is even stranger. It was early in the morning, and if you pay close attention, you'll notice that she enters the frame from the opposite direction the figure had just been moving, meaning whatever appears on camera wasn't following her. It was already there. She's hoping someone could help debunk it or point her toward a real explanation. So, what do you think? The following video was captured by CCTV inside a hospital, a place that never truly sleeps. Even late at night, the halls are filled with quiet movement. Nurses checking vitals, machines humming softly, families drifting in and out of wards. But on this particular night, something else may have been moving too. You can see what appears to be the figure of a small child, standing completely still. It doesn't move toward anyone, it doesn't react, it simply stands there, as if waiting. Moments later, the parents of one of the patients walk directly through the figure, and they clearly have no idea anything unusual just happened. Hospitals are often described as some of the most active locations when it comes to unexplained encounters. They're places where fear, grief, hope, and loss all exist at the same time, and many believe that kind of emotional weight leaves something behind. So, was this just a trick of shadows and lighting, or did the camera capture something most people walk past every day, without ever knowing it's there? This footage dates back to 2018 and was captured by a security camera inside a man's store. The store itself is an open-air garage with nearly 20-foot high ceilings, wide open space, and clear sight lines, the kind of place where movement is hard to miss. That afternoon, the owner was alone in his store when this happened. Out of nowhere, his sunglasses dropped to the floor. At first glance, it might seem harmless. Maybe they fell off a shelf or were knocked over. But when he reviewed the CCTV footage, he realized something terrifying. No one walked in, nothing passed by. There was no gust of wind, no vibration, and no visible cause. The sunglasses didn't slide or tip over. It flew, as if it had been thrown. Many suggest the possibility of an unseen presence interacting with the environment, something strong enough to move a physical object, yet invisible to the camera. And in a wide open space like this, with nowhere to hide, that possibility becomes even harder to ignore. What do you think happened here? A freak accident, or something watching him work, waiting for the moment to make itself known? You be the judge. In this next video, a man who owns a Mexican seafood restaurant began noticing strange, almost unexplainable movements inside his business. At first, it was easy to brush them off. Small things that could be blamed on long hours, exhaustion, or simple coincidence. Glasses weren't where they were left. Items behind the bar seemed slightly out of place. And sometimes, there was the unsettling feeling that something had moved when no one was nearby. At first, he didn't think much of it, but that changed once the security cameras started catching things he just couldn't understand. In the first video, the man is about to serve a drink, and if you look closely at the tray, one of the shot glasses suddenly moves on its own. He notices it, pauses for a moment, then brushes it off, assuming he imagined it. But the activity didn't stop there. Another clip shows one of the bartenders holding a bottle when, without warning, the neck of the bottle snaps clean off in his hand. Then comes another piece of footage. A bottle shifting on its own, sliding without anyone touching it. At this point, some might argue it only happens during busy working hours. Vibrations, movement, people nearby. But the most unsettling moment comes later, when the restaurant is completely closed. The security camera records creepy audio, faint whispers, low voices, sounds that shouldn't be there when the place is empty. Now the staff can't help but wonder whether these are just a series of bizarre coincidences, or signs that something else may be sharing their restaurant with them. Is it too early to call it haunted, or is this exactly the moment they should start paying closer attention and looking for answers? A woman named Mel and her family had just left their house for a quiet weekend getaway when her phone suddenly buzzed with a Ring camera notification, one that shocked the living daylight out of her. Watch this. On the footage, something or someone opens the front door, allowing her dogs to walk outside freely. What makes this unsettling is that when Mel checked the indoor cameras, there was no one visible inside the house. The door simply opens. Imagine being miles away from a home you're certain you locked, only to watch it open on its own. At that moment, Mel's biggest concern wasn't even the door, it was her dogs. She immediately called her neighbors and asked them to help. Thankfully, they were able to get the dogs safely back inside. Needless to say, that weekend getaway ended right there. This terrifying footage was captured by a nearby house security camera. A guy had just arrived at his mom's place and stepped out of his car to offload a few things, but the camera caught something he didn't notice at the time. You'll see what looks like a human figure walking slowly out of the woods. At first glance, it's easy to miss, but as the figure approaches the car, it suddenly bows down, and then drops straight out of sight, disappearing completely. That's where the speculation begins. People say this could be a phantom person, a phenomenon many believe isn't a myth at all, but something that's been reported for centuries. Stories describe these figures as appearing briefly, often near roads, trees, or homes, only to vanish in ways that don't match human movement. Some say phantom people aren't spirits in the traditional sense, but residual figures, moments caught between time, replaying fragments of something that once happened there. So what do you think? A coincidence caught at the wrong moment, or something ancient and very real stepping briefly into view? This footage dates back to 2017, when a woman was simply trying to get some work done, but whatever was in the room with her clearly wasn't ready to let her focus. At first, the security camera captures something subtle. The chair shifts slightly. It's easy to dismiss. Chairs move sometimes, but then it slides farther than it should, before slowly drifting back into place, almost carefully. And when that didn't get her attention, whatever was there escalated. An object close to her, a bottle on the table, suddenly tips over and falls. That finally makes her react. She looks up, clearly confused, trying to make sense of what just happened. But it doesn't stop there. Moments later, her own chair is pulled backward, forcefully enough to break the illusion of coincidence entirely. This wasn't something falling, this wasn't gravity, this was interaction. And here's the detail that unsettles many viewers the most. If you increase the brightness of the footage, you can see what appears to be a faint silhouette moving backward in sync with the chair, as if something unseen is physically pulling it away from her. So here's the question that stays with viewers long after the clip ends. Was this something trying to frighten her, or something that had been there all along, finally making sure she noticed? You decide. The following footage was captured by a CCTV camera inside a local store late at night, long after the doors had been locked and everyone had gone home. Almost immediately, the internet split into debate. Some say it's nothing more than a draft, a random gust of air moving the toy across the floor. But skeptics were quick to point out how unlikely that explanation is. The toy doesn't slide or tip over. It rolls smoothly, almost as if it's being guided. Others suggested the toy had been left switched on, and that a faulty motor caused it to move on its own. On paper, that sounds reasonable. But here's where the explanation starts to fall apart. According to the store owner, the toy hadn't been touched for hours, and the store was completely empty at the time. What unsettled many viewers even more was the way the wheels moved. Several people slowed the footage down frame by frame, pointing out that the motion didn't look random or jerky. It looked controlled, like someone was pushing it just enough to make it roll. Locals familiar with the store claim strange things have been happening there for years, items falling from shelves when no one is nearby, and faint footsteps heard after closing hours. So, what do you think? Was this nothing more than physics and a malfunctioning toy? Or did the security camera accidentally capture something unseen, quietly passing the time, playing with a toy when it thought no one was watching? This footage was captured by a security camera installed in a basement. One evening, the homeowner went downstairs to grab a few things when he got distracted by a message on his phone. He sat down, unaware that the camera behind him was recording something he wouldn't notice until much later. Out of nowhere, the calendar is ripped off the wall. 2 pages tear clean through as it comes down, and when he checked the wall afterward, the nail was still firmly in place. Even stranger, when he picked the calendar back up and tried to hang it again, the hole lined up perfectly with the nail, meaning the paper didn't stretch, tear open, or rip downward the way it normally would if gravity alone caused it to fall. Some viewers pointed out the dog's reaction, or lack of one. Instead of barking or panicking, the dog simply moves away, as if giving space to something it sensed but didn't want to confront. What do you think? A man's brother came to stay over for a few days, and just a few hours after settling into the house, he had the feeling someone was shifting the bed in the guest room. He brushed it off, but as the night went on, the details stopped adding up. Eventually, the man decided to go back through the family's CCTV footage to see if anything unusual had been captured. Something was moving. But here's the problem. This is at least a queen-size bed, and his brother's wife is noticeably shorter, and from her sleeping position, her legs shouldn't even reach that far. Yet in the footage, her left leg flicks sharply and unnaturally, far faster and farther than would be possible for someone side-sleeping in that position. So is something sharing the bed with them? You be the judge. This mysterious video was posted on Reddit, and ever since, people have gone into overdrive trying to analyze what they're seeing. While a family was out for the evening, with no one left behind in the house, their security camera captured something completely horrifying. What appears in the footage looks disturbingly like a small child walking through the house. When the family received a motion alert and checked the footage, they were immediately shaken. There were no children in the home and no pets. When they returned, still trying to rationalize what they'd seen, they reached out to the previous owners to ask if they had ever experienced anything strange while living there. That's when things got worse. The former occupants responded by sending their own video, footage from their Ring camera showing multiple orbs drifting around the property at night. They admitted they'd always felt like something was in the house with them. Then came another disturbing detail. The previous owners said their time in the house was marked by constant arguments, tension that seemed to come out of nowhere. Eventually, their marriage collapsed and they divorced, selling the house shortly after. Sadly, at the time this ghost child video was posted, the new owners were also in the middle of a divorce. And just like before, the house had gone back on the market. Different families, same house, same feeling, same ending. So is this just an unsettling coincidence? Or is there something about that house that doesn't let families stay whole? You decide. The following video was captured by a man inside his own home. But to understand why this moment matters, you need the backstory. At his workplace, he began noticing strange things happening around him. Objects would shift slightly when no one was near them. He'd hear unexplained noises he couldn't trace to any machine or coworker, and at times he swore he heard familiar voices calling out, voices belonging to people who weren't even there. At first, he tried to ignore it, but then it escalated. He started feeling something brush past him, then push him. Sometimes he'd hear the sound of footsteps running behind him, even when the space was completely empty. Coworkers suggested stress, imagination, and many who believed him warned he was paying too much attention. But when experiences start turning physical, is it so easy to stay calm or dismiss it? After a few months, the activity followed him home. Watch closely.
I'm trying to lay down, and these damn lights won't stop going on and off. And I'm the only one here currently, and all my damn cabinets are open. And my remote for the lights are over there. and they just won't turn off. They just won't turn off. Yo, what the f is that?
What makes this unsettling is the pattern. Many believe when unexplained activity moves from a workplace into a personal space, it suggests attachment rather than coincidence. Some argue this is how negative entities operate, slowly escalating, testing boundaries, feeding on fear and attention. Others believe it could be a human spirit, one that's not necessarily malicious but enjoys provoking reactions, pushing limits just to see how far it can go. If it's something darker, the goal may be harm, but if it's something human, it may simply be to disturb and intimidate. So what do you think? In this next video, a guy who's normally focused on gaming and making music finds himself dealing with something far more disturbing. For weeks, he's had the constant feeling that something is in his bathroom, not just a sense of unease, but the unmistakable feeling of being watched. What makes it harder to dismiss is his cat's behavior. The cat refuses to enter the bathroom, often freezing in place and staring into it for long stretches of time as if tracking something the camera can't immediately see. Animals reacting this way is often what pushes people to start taking things seriously. One night, after feeling that same presence again, he decided to leave his camera running. Have a look.
Oh my god, bro. I just seen the craziest shit. Look, over there. Over there, I just seen the craziest shit. Look! Oh my god. What was that? Oh my god. Oh my god, what is that? I'm like shaking right now. What is that? Look at. Watch, it's gonna do it again. It's gonna do it again. Look at that! Nah, bro.
At first glance, some people are quick to say it's staged. Maybe a friend hiding, maybe a prank. But if that were the case, the cat should remain calm, and this wasn't a one-time incident. According to him, this figure has shown up repeatedly over the past 2 weeks, always briefly, never fully revealing itself, and always in the same area. That kind of consistency is what makes this harder to brush off. So the question is this the start of something he needs to take seriously before it escalates? Or do you still think it's all carefully planned? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, then you'll definitely recognize this house. The 263-year-old colonial home, known for its creepy attic and disturbing doll collections, is a place many viewers have gone as far as calling one of the scariest houses in America, and it's not hard to see why. Over the years, the owners have documented a long list of unexplained activity, apparitions moving through rooms, heavy footsteps when no one else is inside, disembodied voices that seem to come from nowhere, and even their cat reacting in ways that suggest it's watching something invisible move through the house. This time, she decided to go back into the attic. The same attic with the door marked by deep claw scratches, marks that have never been properly explained. Have a look.
Definitely a little late with doing this because I don't want to upset the girls, but it is time to take off their little Santa hats and store them away for the year. Very, very sorry. And somehow the door is still open and I need to grab the gift and the tree. Chain check. I feel bad. Maybe I'll put like some Valentine's decor or something up in here. And I'm actually going to put the chain over here just for ha-has to mix it up a little bit. We all heard and saw that, correct? Oh my god, I feel like I gotta get out of here. Alrighty.
That sound was unmistakable. It wasn't settling wood or a random creak. It was the sound of a door moving. With the long and troubled history of this house, moments like this have sadly become almost normal. Some paranormal researchers believe that in homes this old, spirits don't always stay confined to one space. Some are thought to roam freely from room to room, while others attach themselves permanently to specific areas, like the attic. And according to her, every time she goes up there, she's overwhelmed by the same feeling, the sensation that someone is standing directly behind her. But the attic isn't the only place where strange things happen. Have a look at this.
I just had one of my little manifestations come true, and I just realized it right now, and I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm not going to share what it is because it's kind of personal and a little specific, but you guys know that I'm obsessed with all things manifestation, all things journaling. If you're not journaling already, you need to be journaling as if you are already your future self. I wanted to show you guys my new journal. I always have a few going on, but do you like it? Wonder what that could mean. Stay tuned.
While she's calmly talking about journaling, something she uses to ground herself, the candle above her begins to swing on its own. What makes this moment especially unsettling is that this isn't new. It's happened multiple times before, and she's almost grown used to it. But here's the part she can't explain. It's always the same candle, no drafts, no open windows, and none of the other candles in the room ever move when this one does. Whatever the explanation may be, the activity in this house hasn't slowed down. If anything, it feels more consistent, more aware, and until something changes, this colonial home continues to live up to its reputation as one of America's most haunted houses. Now, in this next video, a man was in the middle of remodeling a house that dates all the way back to the early 1900s. The kind of place where every wall, every staircase, and every hidden corner has seen generations come and go. While working inside the house alone, he experienced something that still has people arguing about what really happened. Watch this.
The heck is that? Hello? Who is it?
At first, many viewers assumed the simplest explanation, that the phone had been dropped and the man himself was the one spinning it. But that theory quickly falls apart when you listen closely. You can clearly hear him coming down the stairs, breathing heavily, moments after the phone begins to move. There's no way he could have been in two places at once, which raises the question, if it wasn't him, then what was touching the phone? Homes this old often come with long, complicated histories. Over the years, they've been places of celebration, loss, illness, and sometimes tragedy. Some believe renovations can disturb whatever energy has settled into a house over decades, almost like waking something that's been dormant. But until more updates are shared, and until the history of that home is fully uncovered, this chilling moment remains a mystery. In the following video, a guy starts noticing that his camera is picking up things he never sees with his own eyes. And what makes this especially interesting is that he considers himself a skeptic. He's gone back through the footage multiple times, trying to debunk it, looking for reflections, camera glitches, or anything that could explain what's happening. Have a look. He was fully awake when this was recorded, and at no point did he notice the light flashing on the picture frame. Yet on camera, it's clearly visible. According to him, nothing in the room changed while this was happening. There was no shift in airflow, no movement, no electronics nearby that could reflect or trigger it. From a paranormal perspective, some believe unexplained light anomalies like this could be manifestations of energy, brief visual disturbances that cameras can capture more easily than the human eye. Of course, skeptics argue it could be something far simpler, a dying battery, an unnoticed reflection, or a camera artifact. So is there something in his room that simply needs its battery changed? Or could this be something paranormal? You decide. In this next clip, a group of paranormal investigators enter an abandoned house, a place that's been left untouched for years. But almost immediately after stepping inside, things start to feel off. Doors start closing on their own, not slowly, not from a draft, but with enough force to make them stop and look at each other. At first, they try to rationalize it. Old houses shift and pressure changes, but that explanation falls apart when they notice something far more unsettling. Watch this. Some believe whatever's inside was warning them that they had stepped into its territory, making its presence known in the only way it could. Others think the activity was meant to lure them deeper inside, drawing them closer for reasons unknown. Whether it was a warning or an invitation, one thing is clear. Until more updates from this investigation are shared, whatever was in that house and why it revealed itself remains completely unsolved. Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his solo investigation at the infamous Squirrel Cage Jail, officially known as the Pottawatomie County Jail in Iowa. Built in the late 1800s, this place has a long history of overcrowding, isolation, and suffering. But one of the most disturbing sections of the jail isn't where hardened criminals were kept. It's the juvenile detention area. This is where children were once held, and over the years, countless visitors and investigators have claimed that the spirits of those children never left. Ian enters this section with one clear mission: to confirm whether those rumors hold any truth. Watch closely.
There's little children still hanging around here. Could you move one of the toys in one of these cells? Maybe if I sit down, I'll be less intimidating. You don't have to be afraid. I just like to make friends with you, and I just want to let you know that you're not in trouble anymore. You can go if you want. You're not in trouble. I thought I heard a little voice over here. Hello? Who's in here? Thought I heard somebody. Oh my god. Those mannequins keep scaring me. Well, seems pretty quiet in here. I thought I heard for sure it sounded like a voice, like a little child in here. I'm gonna have to enhance it and see if a voice recorder picked up on it.
Some believe spirits of children are more likely to linger, especially in places where fear and isolation were constant. So was it a residual echo from the past? Or was it something far darker using a childlike voice to draw attention? Whatever it was, Ian didn't provoke it. It came to him. And in a place like the Squirrel Cage Jail, that's usually not a good sign. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now.